What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's talk about it. So first and foremost, this is a brand new channel, first video on the channel. Don't have any other channels, so this is going to be all original content that's going to be put on here. I will put out an introduction, and just mapping out expectations type of video later. But, I just really wanted to put this out because, for one, very excited about this upcoming football season. But number two, very excited about Shedeur Sanders and the start of his NFL journey. Every step of the way, honestly, and tonight was the very first step. Even though it's preseason, everybody's record is 0-0. Preseason is where you work out the kinks. You kind of build that chemistry, with the teammates and everything. And in Shedeur's case, it's where you can win a possible starting job. So basically my thoughts about tonight's game and, well, actually, let's rewind a little bit. So before I get to tonight's game, I've been tracking Shedeur this offseason up into training camp, and I've been looking on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, on ESPN Cleveland's page. And ESPN Cleveland, they will post stat lines of the training camp practices, and also there would be footage circulating of the practices. And Shedeur's stat lines in particular, the main thing that stuck out to me was that he never turned the ball over. Completion percentages, always stayed pretty high. He protected the football. He, got the team into the end zone. All of those good things that you like to see out of a quarterback that's just coming into the league, and that really mirrored what he did at Colorado. Colorado, he wasn't a quarterback that put the ball in harm's way too often, even with the deficiencies that the offense had, offensive line, lack of a running game, things of that nature. He still found ways to, keep the offenses moving, getting them out of adverse situations, and just, as I said before, just not turning the ball over. So training camp, it was more the same. And I also noticed that just off of the practice footages that I did see, he was very, very composed in the pocket. Of course, we know, you can't hit the quarterback. You can't hit the quarterback in training camp practices. But in those situations to where, there were, rushes, thrown at him and he got flushed out of the pocket, he was not rattled. He was not rattled. He either threw the ball away so it didn't get picked off, or he went through all of his progressions. The first option wasn't there. He would check it down to the second, to the third, running back, whatever. He was just going through all of his progressions. And one thing I did notice was that he had great chemistry with one of the receivers in particular. The receiver was Gage Larvaden, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's a receiver that came out of South Carolina, very undersized, but high IQ. He knows where to be, especially on the choice routes. He knows how to find that soft zone in the defense and kind of just sit there. Or, when the quarterback is scrambling, Gage, he finds a way to just allow the plays to be extended, just by keeping his feet moving and just finding ways to get behind the defense. So I noticed in all of the practice clips that I saw, he would always find a Gage. Every time he was in trouble, he would find that receiver. So I think it's great that he has a receiver, even if that receiver might not start now. that you have a rapport with someone, like already. So I think that's great. So getting to the game, got to be honest. Like, I think Shedeur started out a little jittery, which is expected. It's his first preseason game. A lot of eyes on him. Like, this was probably one of the most anticipated preseason games that I can remember. Honestly, and ironically, probably since Johnny Manziel. If you're talking about hype and everything, and just the anticipation, with the media and everything. Like, this was probably the most anticipated preseason game since then, and that was about 11, 12 years ago. So it's been a while since we've paid this much attention to a rookie quarterback in a preseason game, preseason debut. So jitters, like, that's expected. That's definitely expected. I know there was a slant. It was a slant route. I believe it was like the second play of the game. Threw a slant to Deontay Johnson, who's a new addition to the team. And it was a little high for my liking in the pass. Now, granted, Deontay did put his hands on it. And the old rule about receivers, you put your hands on it, you should have caught it. But yeah, like, I think that he probably should have, positioned the pass a little bit more, like, between Deontay's numbers, so he could, just kind of put his hands out in front of him and catch it and make a move, or even secure it, with his body. Sometimes body catches are effective. Even I know receiver coaches don't like you to catch with your body sometimes, but sometimes you have to. So I think the pass should have been a little bit lower, but. And especially since the pressure was a little light and he had his feet set, he probably, could have made that pass a little better. But I think that's where the jitters came to an end, after that first drive, after that 3-and-out, because they did go 3-and-out. As the game kind of went along, you saw the playbook kind of play to Shedeur's strength a little bit. They threw some screen passes. They got him on the move a little bit, with some shotgun looks, shotgun rollouts. There was a nice play that he had where he scrambled for first down, where, some rookie quarterbacks, they would try to force a ball in there. But he used his legs to pick up the first down and, just keep the chains moving. Shedeur is a very underrated runner, very much in the model of, like, Joe Burrow. One of those quarterbacks where they're not going to have a lot of like design runs call for them, like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. But if you leave them unaccounted for, they will hurt you. Like, they will hurt you, and they are not shy about running, to pick up the first down. And I think Shedeur is one of those players. So I think he did very, very well, with that play in particular, just using his legs, getting comfortable. You saw had a little celebration at the end, just remembering who he is, just remembering that he's, Heisman finalist, type of quarterback. So that confidence started to show a little bit. And, then he had a great throw, rolling to his left, late on in the game. He threw a touchdown pass that was in a really, really tight window. And I thought that was his first real NFL throw, where it really kind of set him apart from other guys. So, he had a great touchdown pass, that drive. And then later on, he threw another touchdown pass that was, that was in traffic. That's what we like to see. We like to see throws in traffic that's completed, and that only your receiver is has a chance of getting. And those are the type of throws that he really started to make. Throws that gave his players a chance to make a play and not put it in harm's way. Going back to the Colorado days, once again. So yeah, like I thought overall, he had a great game. Where did he go? 14 for 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty good. That's about 60% passing. 6 yards per attempt. I know a lot of people, going to say, oh, that's a little low. But honestly, that's Kevin Stefanski's offense anyway. Like Cleveland, going back to when Stefanski took over, like they're typically middle of the pack or bottom half of the league in yards per attempt. Like they like to, first off, they like to run the ball, but they're not going to really push the ball downfield, like that. They like to put the ball in the playmakers' hands and kind of let them, make plays for them, And, with Shedeur playing with, some of the twos and threes, you're not going to see a lot of guys like that, So he did well with what was presented in front of him, And also, like, you really don't want to show other teams too much of what you can do. You don't want to open the playbook up entirely. So I thought that, just once again, just given what was presented to Shedeur, he made the most of it tonight, So going into tonight, I said that Shedeur needed to make things interesting out the gate to have a chance at starting this year, because there is an open quarterback competition in Cleveland. And I think he accomplished that. He showed that he can move the offense, without a hitch. Of course, he has some plays. He has some throws that he might want to have back. But he didn't put them in disastrous situations. 2 touchdown passes and another one was a scoring drive. I think that's great. 21 points by 21 points in your first game. I think that's a lot to work with, and that's a lot for the Cleveland coaching staff to consider. You want a quarterback that's going to produce scoring drives for you, quarterback that's not going to throw a lot of interceptions, which that's a problem that the Browns had last year. Granted, they had injuries at quarterback, but you got to call it for what it is. They had a lot of turnovers, so that's going to be very promising for them to evaluate. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about the game. I think this is very exciting time for Shedeur, because you want to keep stacking these games up. You want to stack up a strong body of work because you have a job to win. The Browns do not have a starting quarterback right now, and you have a chance at it. You had a chance to draw first blood, and you did a great job at it. So Shedeur, he just has to keep building. Don't press anything. Even if, let's say the Browns come out with a depth chart for week 2 of the preseason, and Shedeur didn't make any movement on the depth chart, do not get discouraged, because I promise you, once the preseason ends, they're going to look at the entire body of work of all quarterbacks. So right now, the depth chart does not matter, in my opinion. So, yeah, so just let me know your thoughts. So I am going to do another video just, mapping out what type of channel this is going to be, and we will go from there. All right, peace out.